Today I'd like to go over the Fed minutes from yesterday's meeting that were released. I'll put the link to the document in the comments. It's not that long, it's easy to read, and we're going to go through it right now. So first, there'll be three parts. The first part is, this is basically bubble TV. They do say that inflation has come down, but it's not really where they want it to be. They think it's trending in the right way. They'd like to see some more information before they make a decision. On the employment, they still say it's very, very low because, as we did in our video yesterday or the day before, the average unemployment rate for the last 125 years has been 5.8%. We're at 4.3, up from basically 3.2. So they'd say we should just monitor it, okay? And the second part is about the plumbing. We got to remember that the Federal Reserve is in charge of our plumbing, of our financial system. And so every month they tell us what they're going to do, right? So they say we're going to leave the Fed fund rate between 5.25%, 5.5% until next month. They're going to conduct overnight repurchase agreements at a rate of 5.5% for a total of $500 billion per day. They're going to conduct overnight reverse repo agreements at 5.3%, up to $160 billion. And then one thing that caught my eye, when they're taking back in, when they're letting the money run off from our QT, they're taking that money, the extra money above, and because let's say they bought securities below par when we were doing QE. Now they're coming due at par, they're making the difference. They're reinvesting that back in the CMBS. Very, very interesting that they do that. And that's about it on this one. So to me, this is the interesting part. They're saying, hey, look, let's look at the financial stability of our financial system, and they assess that it warrants monitoring. And there's several reasons for this, okay? The first they say is there are noted risks associated with the unrealized losses on securities. I don't know if this is just the HTM, the hold to maturity portfolios, which I know was up to 700 billion, then it was around 600 billion. It could be 500 billion with the 10-year bond rallying. Not really quite sure, but it's around $500 billion. They say this is still an issue that deserves monitoring, okay? Then they say the reliance on uninsured deposits at our banks. This is, I think, and we have done multiple videos on this, that the Federal Reserve is very, very worried about this. And all you have to do is look at Silicon Valley Bank. I think they came in and did over $50 billion in uninsured assets. These assets at Silicon Valley Bank were mainly owned by, I don't know if they're billionaires, but they're certainly trying hard to get there. And Chom P. and Donald Sachs, this was their portfolio companies that we bailed out. So it's great, you know, they get to do their podcast now and tell us how to invest the money. What I would do is, you know, just get a big enough portfolio and give it to a little bank and have the FDIC insure us. Then they say that there's other things that have to improve, but they're really worried about the non-financial companies working with our banks, okay, which we just did a video on this, all right, like 1 or 2 days ago. So this is another thing that they're really worried about. So overall, they're saying that one, our banks are over leveraged, highly leveraged, that we're over dependent upon uninsured deposits, and three, that these hold to maturity portfolios definitely are adding more risk into our system. How much risk? Well, here's a chart of our GSIBs, all right? There's 29 GSIBs in the world. These are globally significantly important banks, okay? Or systemically important banks, not significant, systemic important banks. And there's 29. We have 8. And what this chart is showing us is that our SLR exposure is now at an all-time high, surpassing the great financial crisis, okay? So when you think our banks are safe, they're actually very highly leveraged. So look at, what does this mean to us? So we've been saying basically for over a year that there should not be a Fed cut. I just did a video yesterday or the day before reiterating, give me a reason why we should cut. And we always felt that even though we shouldn't cut, we believe that the Fed will cut one cut in September. Now, what I think is going to happen with that is I think it could be a very dangerous cut. So I would actually say this, all right, that I'm not sure what is more risky, cutting by 25 basis points or raising by 25 basis points, okay? Maybe the stock market would go down, but remember something, stock market is not nearly the size of our bond market. So fixed income is far larger than equities. So I would be, I don't know why they're going to cut. What do you think? Should they cut again? I mean, like and follow and tell me what you think.